And roll call, Kathy?
Here. Here. Here.
Here. Okay, so no special presentations, so we'll move to public comment.
Are you in Zoom meeting? Is there anybody that wants to be up? I thought we communicated you were going to put those pictures, so I didn't want to hear.
Yes, we do have remote public comment. We will start with Johanna.
Thank you.
Okay, Johanna, you know what to do.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure after the last meeting. Hope you're all well tonight. I just wanted to bring up a topic, and I appreciate, by the way, that you listened to public comment. And I think I'm bringing up, I'm concerned about what's been happening with the city planner position. We have had 2 people fill the position in a very short time span, less than approximately 2 years, and believe that we need to ensure that we hire an experienced planner for this job that is versed in CEQA and planning matters. I was really sad to see Teresa's no longer in the position for quite some time, and she seemed very knowledgeable and likable. I think we have a big gap based on our meeting, our special city planning commission meeting last time. It was a special meeting, so I think we need to be prudent. And because the public elects the city council sets policy and direction, and then the city manager implements that. And I realize the city manager runs everything, but I do believe the public should have, or at least the city council should have some say in this because of the issues that we've had because of the short time span of these 2 other people that were just here. And so I would like to ask that the city council do an agenda item at the next city council meeting, directing the city manager to 1, hire a competent and skilled city planner with many years of experience with CEQA and city planning with a significant amount of time in California, and that there should be a formal hiring process with department heads all interviewing this person. And because of the short tenure, also have the city council interview this person or appoint a community group to interview and help make recommendations for this position, but that there is some oversight by the city council because of what's been going on. Anyway, just as a member of the community, I want to see someone who knows their job and can make responsible decisions. I was also just disappointed to hear that at our last meeting that this was considered a housing element workshop, and I felt like this was not a true workshop, because I have attended workshops in the past and they had advertising and they were separate breakout sessions, and I felt like it was just an agenda item. And I just saw my time. Thank you so much for considering these 2 points.
Thank you, Johanna. Anyone else on Zoom?
Yes, so our next speaker will be Betty Krieger.
Hi, I would just like to echo everything that Johanna just said. This has been on my mind for some time, especially with regard to the city planner, and I have spoken to the city council about this. Could somebody please show me my clock? We're still having Johanna's name up. Hello? You're at 2 minutes, 40 seconds right now. Hello? Shit. Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, well, I have just lost about 30 seconds because I was getting Johanna's name on my screen instead of the clock. And I'm speaking to that, trying to see if anybody can hear me. And so now I have to start all over again. First as I said, I just want to echo what Johanna said, because I have been speaking about this before directly to the city council, and I'm very concerned, as are many other people, about the fact that there's no transparency here. And moving on, the reason that I actually raised my hand to begin with was because I wasn't hearing anything initially when I first signed on. And so the first thing I heard was, no, we'll now have public comments. So it'd be nice if we could get entered in when it says we're entered in, so that we know that we're there. There's been a problem with this in the past, and it continues to be, I see, a problem of not being able to get in on time, even though how many of there are of us on this call, Johanna and me, and maybe some other people who aren't on the public comment site. With regard to the workshops, in the past, we have had ongoing workshops and been notified well in advance, like a month or so in advance, that the workshop is happening. We got no notice except that on the last agenda that was going to be a workshop. That does not qualify as a workshop. I realize that we haven't had a city planner for several months to get into this, but to look at the agenda and to see that this is the workshops, plural, that are supposed to be scheduled aren't even going to be on the agenda for 90 days. So given the fact that we have to have this thing done by the end of the year, I think it would be prudent to make sure that we get workshops scheduled, that we get adequate notice, that it be done somewhere other than a city council meeting, and an actual planned workshop separate from the city council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Anyone else?
We don't have any other virtual public comments, so Therese.
I'm now virtual, right? So I've been trying to find out how to get onto the agenda of the city council meetings. And I kind of submitted a quick little note that was a round file note saying how to get onto the agenda. I came to the meeting. I thought I was prepared. I'm concerned about, I don't know how to know if this is, you're getting this. I submit this letter and these pictures to go into public record. I'm trying to make sure people on Zoom can see this, that I'm documenting that public parking is being used by 2 private restaurants who've been excused from architectural reviews, as well as city planning approval. These temporary variances have been extended past COVID shutdown, and now they seem to be approved by the mayor, unended temporary variance. So I want you to know that this is the bike lane going northbound on Mount Shasta Boulevard. And if I can go to the next picture, let's see, oops. You can see that there's blocking the bike lane. So if somebody's coming along in a bike, it gets into traffic, which is 2-way at this point. And then the other thing I want to show you is the structure blocks the view of John Thomas Jewelry, who received an architectural approval for his Main Street business. And his business is beautiful, and he has this absolutely gorgeous front of his building that you can't see as you're driving along, so you're a tourist from out of town, and there's this pallet box in front of it. One of the things is that I've said that there's 9 other potential food service requests that are potential between the stoplights for a variance to use their parking places, which greases the palm of the city to give them money for a variance. It's supposed to be temporary. I understood that it was needed during COVID, but I feel like you cannot do for one and not all. Anybody that has a business, on the other side of this, there's Mountain Song. I didn't get a picture of how obscured that is, but people can't find it. It matters to me that somebody coming and wanting to put a business on Main Street gets the same treatment as Now, for the record, there's one more picture I want to show you. At the south end of town, we have what's called the Gold Room Saloon. And to me, this is South Mount Shasta Boulevard. It's emboldened by the city planners allowing violations to the architectural review. And I think this just doesn't protect our city image. I hope you're able to see this. But the orange construction fencing and being right on Main Street where cars are going by and pull over and park there. Again, using parking spaces that they probably didn't get a variance for. Thanks. I'd like to know how to get on the agenda. This matters to me. I think it's important for many reasons. And I've really tried to get RSVP from the city how to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know who to speak to. Is it Kathy?
I believe in that email correspondence that was set out that Mayor Collins had already stated that it's not a fire hazard and that won't be on the agenda.
So do I have any right to be on the agenda? Or is this enough for me to document this? Have you read it?
It's been documented as public comment. It's been recorded. Thank you. No other online? Or any other public comment? No? Okay, we are closing public comment, moving on to council and staff comments. We'll open it up with our city manager.
Sure. So I just wanted to give you a couple updates on the receivership process. First abatement and then receivership. It's a long, slow process. The nest is finally in the receivership pipeline. The old hospital is with John Kenny's office, and I was told that the receivership paperwork would be filed by the end of the day, but it will be filed this week. It's a process, but we're making good progress. So I think that's really it, other than on the annexation issue. I think I mentioned that we'd lost contact with the owner's rep for a couple months, and it appeared that we didn't know what was going on. And it turns out that this gentleman passed away. And now we've made reconnections, and so we're going to move full steam ahead. The actual owner, is out of country. He's going to be back in on September 3rd and is going to be up here, and we're going to walk the site. In the meantime, the new rep that I've talked to has information on tank resizing and information and lease exhibits that show the land that we need for them to essentially give to us for that tank, as well as the easements for access and for utilities. So we're back on with that piece and moving forward. So tonight I brought in David Torres because I figured that we could use an update on all the public works projects. So I'm going to have him go through those.
Yeah, sure. So currently we have 4 major capital build projects going on. It's been quite a last couple of years.
Get closer to the mic.
Hello? Okay.
There you go.
So currently we have 4 capital build projects ongoing and in different stages. They've all gone pretty successful. I first want to start with a state-mandated wastewater treatment plant. That is being constructed by Clark Brothers. It started back in May 22nd, May 21st of 2021. The project's about 60% complete. The main concrete basin that holds the influent sewage, where it's going to be mainly treated, is complete. They're working on the piping, the mechanical, and they're moving on to the control building, where all of the controls and the lab are. The structure's complete, and they're finishing the interior finishes, paint, drywall, electrical finish. The main items that are left are the clarifier equipment, which is going to be handling the sludge. It dewaters it, brings it into a solid form for disposal. That's ongoing. The UV filtration building is in its beginning stages. All the underground utilities are being installed. And the major items still outstanding are the outfall modifications. That's where the effluent, the treated effluent, goes into the river. And there's some modifications that need to be done there. The UV filtration building itself, and some modifications to the headworks. That project is about 60% complete at this point. We haven't had any major issues. There are a couple of budgetary outstanding items. Currently, there's a claim. There's a disagreement on the scope of work from how it was presented in the contract documents, and how the engineer interprets it, and how the bidding contractor interprets it. So we're going through the claim process right now. And then there's a couple of other change orders that haven't been resolved. They're related to price escalations. I don't know, we're all familiar with prices of raw materials going through the roof, supply chain issues. Unfortunately for this contractor, when he bid the work, from the time he bid the work to the time he went to actually order the work, the suppliers were no longer, holding their prices. So there's about $350,000 in price escalation change orders hanging out there. The funding agency is well aware of it, but they've elected to wait until the end of the project to commit to anything. And unfortunately for our contractor, that kind of leaves them in a cash flow situation. So that's something that we've been working with them on. All in all, they've been a really good contractor to work with. They're very diligent. The project's on schedule, and it's about 60% complete. The next project is the Tank 1 Roseburg Water System Improvement Project. That's about 95% complete. We're basically in the final punch list stage. Just yesterday, they finished up the supervisory control systems, which allows us to control the feed of water from the springs. And that project entailed building a new tank. So we have a new tank up at Quail Hill. And about 3,500 linear feet of 12-inch line that went from, it was basically at, if everybody knows where Speeney's Pond is, basically from Speeney's Pond down Old McLeod through the Meadowbrook subdivision and extended all the way out to where the Finlandia, no, is it Finlandia? Finlandia? No, the Swiss Holiday Lodge. It's all the way out there with a new line, and that will afford development of that area with water. Timberworks was the contractor, great contractor, did an outstanding job. The project was under budget. We still have some contingency left. We made the most of it. We actually repaved the whole entire Quail Hill tank site, which was a plus because I think the last time it was paved was in the 70s. So there was a lot of good extra work that we were able to take advantage through the contingency. And that, like I said, is basically in the final stages with the punch list, just the last little items to be done. It should be probably finally complete in about a month. And then we have the Pine Street Area Water System Improvement Project. That started back in May of this year. Siteworks Solution is the contractor. First time working with them. They're from Reading. That project's been going on pretty well. It's 60% complete. And that was a combination of 8-inch and 12-inch main lines. That is going to basically replace the water mains laterals, fire hydrants. It's a complete system replacement of all the water lines from West Alma, starting from Chestnut Street down West Alma as the southern border, and then going north, Pine Street, Cedar Street, Spring Street, West Jesse, West Ivy, Field Street, that whole area up to Kingston, which was very, very needed. The lines there, I mean, there's one line that's still probably original line from the 20s, 30s. It's a very thin-walled, riveted pipe. We literally riveted pieces of metal together. It's that old, probably the 20s. So it's very, very needed upgrade to that area. We've had a lot of leaks, and I'm going to be very happy when it's done. Yeah, so that project's about 60% complete. They're just now starting to fill and pressurize some of the main lines. They have some water laterals and some fire hydrants to finish up. So we're looking at finishing that job probably at the beginning of October. Starting this year, the project that started this year was the sewer interceptor improvement project. That's the next phase of the replacement of the interceptor, which was installed in the early 70s. That project was awarded to Timberworks on June 6th. It's about 30% complete. And that's the replacement of about 7,300 lineal feet of sewer main from the southern border is Lake Siskiyou Boulevard along South Old Stage through the Merrill property, which is a lot of wetlands, all the way up to the CHP, which is West Jesse. If you remember a few years back, we had that large sewer break over on the creek over there that really, that this is going to, make sure that doesn't happen again and really set us up for the future as far as, growth and maintaining our safe waterways. Currently, well, they started at South Old Stage, just north of Ream. They've put in about 1,500 lineal feet to South Old Stage, to the South Old Stage crossing. And they've actually had to jump. They're skipping a portion because there's a sensitive environmental area through the Merrills. It's all wetlands, and they have a deadline of October 31st to get that done. Then there's no extensions for that permit, so it was designed that way and bid that way. They have a window from June 1st, was the first day, or July 1st, because of the environmental impacts, from July 1st to October 31st to finish that section. So that's what they're working on right now currently. And they're also working on the replacement of the Cold Creek, the Cold Springs Creek culvert that crosses South Old Stage. The city had to replace that culvert and lower it because of clearances. We weren't able to go over the culvert. They're working on that right now. So that section of South Old Stage between Ream and Lake Siskiyou Boulevard is going to be closed till September 12th. And that project's going really well. Timberworks is also doing that project. Yeah, so any questions?
A couple
Sure.
questions. Back to the wastewater treatment plant. Big project, took a long time to get it started. From what you've heard, is it possible that we may have to do a rate increase to cover escalating costs to get it completed? Be it another 218 process. What's your feeling, thoughts about that?
The escalating cost because of on the impacts of construction?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
No.
You can be able to negotiate a way or get more grants from the state to.
Well, we're hoping, it's really, kind of weird that they've gone this approach of wait and see to fund these. They're valid change orders. Those are actions by the suppliers that are out of the control of the contractor, and I would be surprised if they don't honor that in the end.
Okay.
And if I can second that one, yeah, I mean, ultimately the prime is locked into a rate for the service, and so whether rates go up or not, I mean, technically, you can keep your thumb and say that's the rate, and they lose money. But ultimately, the state, when they award this stuff, especially to small rural communities, it's their job to ensure that that these jobs get done, and their contractors and subs get paid fairly. I would put a 95% bet that at the very end of this, that these folks are going to be covered for their losses. So very, very unlikely. Sorry, David.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, well, that makes me feel better. People that were part of it will remember the pains we went through to get that project started. It went from 2019 to end of 2020, right? Yeah. Anyhow, so all right. I'm glad you guys are confident that it's going to all work out.
Yeah, it just puts the contractor in a bad situation.
Okay. So Tank 2, city manager mentioned some issues with Tank 2. They seem minor to me, but is Tank 2 in need of major refurbishment, or what's the situation with Tank 2?
I held. I'm waiting for an assessment from Pace Engineering, something official. I've received the inspector's field reports, but I wanted to get something a little more concise and backed by a civil engineer before I approached it. But yes, there's the coating on the interior of the tank needs to be redone. But as they started looking at it further, the design of the trusses inside of the tank itself. The tank was designed and built in 1944, and it's a mirror. It's way past its service life. It's a miracle. Everybody that contractors and inspectors and engineers that that know of this tank, they're like, wow, I can't believe it's lasted so well. Water quality is part of it, but it's the upper shell is a 1/4-inch steel, and it has a tendency to expand and contract at a much faster rate than the structural beams that are holding it up. So there's some friction there that has caused some damage, some damage and some wear to those structural members that the engineer is worried about. And so they're going to give me a letter of recommendation, an assessment of the tank, and some recommendations on what they think, is the best course of action. Whether we can recoat the tank and get some more years out of it, or we might need a whole new tank, fortunately.
Right, and so in that scenario, we would wait for Tank 1 to be up and running.
Tank 1's up and running.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So you could close 2 and...
Yes, we could.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Anyone else? Any other updates?
No, you don't get to.
Not at,
Public comment is over, you don't get to ask any questions.
No, that's it for me, yeah.
okay. Okay, moving on to committee updates. Anything there, Todd?
For committees, we haven't had DEAC meet. DEAC is scheduled to meet next week, and I'll bring something back next time with them. I've had an inquiry about restarting the Active Transportation Committee. It really hasn't ever stopped. It's just that, we put out periodic postings in the paper and through word of mouth, and we're just not getting enough people, back on board. But would love to see that take off. And if you've got some folks that you all talk to in your day-to-day interactions, anybody that you know that may want to participate in that would love to get that committee up and running, especially since we're going to have this plan. And one thing I think that is worth adding related to the active transportation piece is NPR, North State Public Radio, doing an interview with them with Alta, out of Chico, about what we've got going on up here. So that should be good to get us a little bit of airplay.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Thanks. Also, David, before I move on, thank you for coming. It was my idea to have you come, so don't hate me too much. But that was very helpful, so
It is,
thank
yeah.
you. Okay, moving on to number 7, consent agenda. The city manager recommends approval of the following consent agenda items. All resolutions and ordinances of this agenda or added hereto shall be introduced or adopted as applicable by title only, and the full reading thereof is hereby waived. A, approval of minutes, August 8th, 2022, regular city council meeting. B, approval of disbursements, accounts payable 810, 811, and 817 of 22. Total gross payroll and taxes for period ending 8/7/22. C, authorizing the Director of Finance to certify to the county auditor of the city's maintenance to effort for Prop 172 public safety funds. D, monthly investment report. E, resolution CCR 22-.
There are actually 2 resolutions in the consent agenda. Item C will be CCR-22-25, and item E will be CCR-22-26.
Thank you. -26, authorizing the application for the Permanent Local Housing Allocation Program, non-entitlement local government competitive component. Say that 5 times fast. Does anyone want to pull any of these items off, or are we good to go? Any discussion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, number 8, League of California Cities Annual Conference General Assembly vote. Kathy, you want to catch us up on this?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kluwer, members of the council. Earlier this summer, as you probably recall, council named Mayor Pro Tem Kluwer as the voting delegate at the annual League of Cities Conference and Business Meeting. Typically, there's a packet of resolutions to vote on, but this year there's only one proposal, and that's to amend the city's bylaws. The bylaws with the proposed changes were included in your agenda packet for consideration, and staff just recommends that you review the proposal and determine the city's position for next month's vote.
Okay, I'll open it up for clarifying questions. And open it up for public comment.
We don't have any public comment.
Okay, public comment closed. Bring it back for discussion.
I move that we authorize our voting delegate to vote in favor of the proposed changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And number 9, we have no outside meetings reports. Number 10, future agenda items appearing on the agenda within 60 to 90 days. We have A, short-term rental ordinance to be determined. B, discussion of possible action, affordable housing ordinance to be determined. C, council goals workshop to be determined. D, approval of RFP to seek companies specializing in tax sharing agreements. E, resolution approving annexation of various properties. F, ordinance banning camping during high fire severity. And future over 90 days, general plan workshops and discussion and possible action review, chapter 13.95, extraction and exportation of groundwater from the city of Mount Shasta. Any other items to add?
No.
I was hoping to get a date set for the council goals workshop. With the transportation study moving, I was hoping we could get maybe the one-way streets or something like that tackled while we have some momentum. I still need a second, even though I'm sure.
Well, second.
Okay.
Yeah.
But could you clarify what exactly you propose be discussed?
As a follow-up meeting to our last workshop to set some of those goals in motion would be the agenda, but specifically just for us to meet and clarify our
Revise
goals.
clarify our goals.
So in other words, basically, set a date for the council goals workshop sooner rather than later. Is that what I'm
Yeah,
hearing?
and Kathy, since it's already on a future, can we just set a date now, or does it have to come back?
You can set a date now.
Okay, should we do that?
Yeah. October, September.
Yeah.
Perhaps the first meeting in October?
First,
Well, the workshop's on it's not during the council meeting. right?
correct.
Yeah. Okay, so
We did the last
Wednesdays.
one in the conference room in the police station. We did the last one upstairs at the police station, yeah.
Okay, so
Third Monday of October?
it's a special meeting,
Right,
so we still give a notice. Public still has the opportunity to attend. And we can go upstairs if there's no objection to, or there's no requirements for ADA
oh, right,
accommodation.
right.
So John, you like Mondays best? So like Monday late in the afternoon at the PD, above PD? Okay.
We're thinking either the last,
So the 10th is Columbus Day of October. The
So our
3rd,
city council meeting will be on the 11th instead of the 10th, right?
We don't observe that date. Our city council meeting will still be held on the 10th.
on the 10th.
So
So we-
the 3rd or the 17th, or Halloween?
well, or the last Monday in September?
The
26th?
26th.
It's okay by
Is
me,
that,
too.
Yep, that's
City
good with me.
council.
that's a city council meeting?
Oh.
Okay, so
Oh, well then back to the 3rd?
3rd's fine.
3rd or 17th? 3rd, October 3rd?
3rd, should we start during work hours, like 3 o'clock? Or is that too early for you? 4?
4:35.
4:30?
Yeah.
4:30?
Yeah, normal meeting
Okay.
time-ish.
Special meeting time-ish.
Five-ish.
Okay, so 4:30, the 3rd.
17th?
The
No,
3rd.
The 3rd.
Oh, third, I'm sorry.
Of October.
Third Monday, my bad.
3rd of October at 4:30?
4:30.
Got it.
Okay, any other future items?
I will be out of town on the 3rd.
Oh, shoot.
Now the 17th.
Sorry about that, I'm out of town
17th?
that entire week. I am available on the 17th.
I can do the 17th.
Perfect.
Here's our outline.
Hey, look at that.
So at 4:30 is still the consensus time?
So I don't know how that would work with closing up of that room. We might have to meet here. If it goes past working hours.
We'll just have to leave the door
Okay.
open.
We'll figure that out. Okay.
So,
Nothing?
in that regard, Todd, city manager, will the group working on the storm drain Prop 218 process be further along by October 17th?
They will. The other part of this, I think we talked a little bit about if we were to go out and fill the yawning chasm of need, that under a 218 process, it would be a pretty, a decent shock to citizens, the way we're looking at, the amount of projects that we need to get done now. In that time frame, we have somebody from the same company looking at the now infrastructure law and funds that are available, and we have a list of top projects that we're going to be applying for federal grants through Raftellie's, the company. And we're hoping that if we get funding for at least a couple of these, it's going to bring that 218 number down considerably. But yes, we'll be ready to actually provide a report at that time, and we'll have a better understanding of where we're competitive and where we're not on the federal level.
Anyone else? With that, we are ready to adjourn.
Second.
stay home?